multinational giant, ITT, otherwise known as International Telephone and Telegraph, was founded in 1920 by Sosthenes Ben, who was born in the Virgin Islands. During his lifetime, Ben was the epitome of the politicized businessman, earning his profits and building the ITT empire through political maneuverings rather than in the competitive marketplace. In 1923, through political adroitness, Ben acquired the Spanish telephone monopoly. In 1924, ITT, now backed by the J.P. Morgan firm, bought what later became the International Standard Electric group of manufacturing plants around the world. The parent board of ITT reflected the J.P. Morgan interests. The National City Bank in the Morgan Group was represented by two directors, Sosthenes Ben and Alan G. Hoyt. In brief, ITT was a Morgan-controlled company. The Morgan Group controlled companies in war and revolution abroad, as well as sneaky maneuvering in the United States political arena. In 1930, Sosthenes Ben acquired the German holding company of Standard Electric, controlled by ITT. In this deal, Standard Electric acquired German manufacturing plants and a majority stock interest in Berlin Telephone. There is no record that ITT made direct payments to Hitler before the Nazi grab for power in 1933. On the other hand, numerous payments were made to Heinrich Himmler in the late 1930s and in World War II through ITT German subsidiaries. The first meeting between Hitler and ITT officials, so far as we know, was reported in August 1933, when Sosthenes Ben and an ITT German representative met with Hitler directly. Wilhelm Kepler was a German businessman and one of Hitler's early financial backers. He was introduced to Hitler by Heinrich Himmler. Ben made contact with the Kepler circle, and through Kepler's influence, Nazi Baron Kurt von Schroeder became the guardian of ITT interests in Germany. The meetings assured direct American control of its German operations, which are providing large amounts of essential raw materials to the Nazis.
Arbeit geht weiter. Hier entstehen Panzerkampfwagen. Bearbeitung des Turmes. Herstellung von Triebrädern. Zusammenbau. Laufwerkmontage.
Kurt von Schroeder acted as the conduit for ITT money funneled to Himmler's Nazi organization in 1944. All the while, World War II was in progress, and the United States was at war with Germany. While Kepler helped finance the Nazi Party, he was elected to the Reichstag early in 1933 and was appointed Reich Commissioner for Economic Affairs. He was also an advisor to Hermann Goering. Astoundingly, Nazi financier James Forrestal is made Secretary of Defense in the Truman regime, which is dominated and controlled by the men who armed and financed Hitler through the influences of John Foster and Allen Dulles. Among Forrestal's most important pre-war accomplishments was his role as a partner and president of Nazi financiers Dillon, Reed and Company. Dillon Reed was one of the major forces in arranging finance for and orchestrating the establishment of the two main cartels most crucial to Hitler's war effort, the Thyssen-Steel Combine and IG Farben Corporation. As Secretary of Defense in the late 1940s, James Forrestal was also a member of an intelligence committee known as MJ-12 or Majestic 12. The purpose of the committee was allegedly to investigate UFO activity in the aftermath of the Roswell incident, the purported crash of an alien spaceship near Roswell, New Mexico, in July of 1947. Shortly after James Forrestal had died, purportedly under very strange and mysterious circumstances, his place in MJ-12 was filled in by Walter B. Smith. Such a staunch pillar of the American ruling class, James Forrestal was made a vice president of Nazi concentration camp operator, IG Farben's Gas Corporation. Cable traffic between the United States and Germany was under the control of the German Atlantic Cable Company. This firm, together with the Commercial Cable Company and Western Union Telegraph Company, had the monopoly in transatlantic United States and German cable communications. While ITT Focke-Wulf planes were bombing Allied ships, ITT lines were also passing information to German submarines. The German Atlantic Cable Company Board of Directors included an unusual array of characters. It included, for example, H.F. Albert, the German espionage agent in the United States in World War I. He was a successful lawyer in Berlin, representing many foreign corporations. He also established a cover firm called the Bridgeport Projectile Company to purchase and destroy munitions that would otherwise be shipped to the Allies. This operation was known as the Great Fennel Plot. ITT in the United States was represented on the board by Jan Guillaume and Max Warburg of the Warburg banking family. When Sosthenes Ben founded ITT in 1920, one of his acquisitions was Federal Telegraph and Radio in New Jersey. The Federal Telegraph and Radio Company also had interests in telephone companies in South American countries, among other places. In the late 1940s, Federal Telegraph and Radio opened labs in Nutley, New Jersey. The Nutley location contracted with the federal government. In 1947, Ben built a microwave testing tower. It was humorously labeled as Ben's last erection by the employees in Nutley. A great deal of the agency's efforts centered around Cold War tactics. MK Ultra was an umbrella project that dealt with mind control. These horrible projects went on for years. They used such methods as drugs, radiation, microwaves, trauma-based control, and severe psychological abuse. These barbaric practices were deemed to be illegal and immoral when finally looked at by the United States Senate.
I'm going to start. My name is Valerie Wolf. In listening to the testimony today, it all sounds really familiar. I am here to talk about a possible link between radiation and mind control experimentation that began in the late 1940s. The main reason that mind control research is being mentioned is because people are alleging that they were exposed as children to mind control, radiation, drugs, and chemical experimentation, which were administered by the same doctors who are known to have been involved in conducting both radiation and mind control research.
I'm Christy Nicola, born July 1962. I was a subject in radiation as well as mind control and drug experiments performed by a man I knew as Dr. Green.
Dr. Greenbaum, also known as Dr. L. Wilson Green, was a Jewish doctor who the Nazis coerced to participate in evil experiments in Auschwitz concentration camp. This individual, whose code name is Dr. Green, arrived to the United States after World War II and began experiments on adults and children for the military and for the CIA. The military and the CIA fostered the sadistic nature of Nazi methodology and began numerous programs of their own. The first CIA program was known as MK Ultra. The M and the K is an abbreviation for the German words mind control. By 1953, the CIA, US Navy, and the US Army Chemical Corps were conducting their own narco-hypnosis programs on unwilling victims, such as prisoners, mental patients, foreigners, ethnic minorities, and sexual differentiation. According to MK Ultra documents and sources, the methodology of mind control works best when severe trauma is administered by the age of 3 years old. Severe trauma, such as rape, applied at the age of 3, will cause the personality to split or disassociate in an attempt to shield the mind from frightful memories or events too painful to endure. A few years later, the child victim's IQ tests and personality tests are evaluated to determine whether the child may be possibly trained in assassination, sexual blackmail, drug courier activity, or other roles. The development of different elements of mind control are intertwined with biological and chemical weapons development, radiation testing, and the making of Manchurian candidates.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. Some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities.
The CIA had an interest in microwave testing during the Cold War projects that fell under MK Ultra, which continued to progress for many, many years. ITT employed scientists who had been in the German army. The CIA brought many Nazi scientists to the United States after the war and placed them in various companies and institutions. They included areas of our own government, including the CIA itself. The CIA's illegal activity in bringing these individuals to the U.S. was referred to as Operation Paperclip. The project fell under the direction of then CIA Director Alan Dulles and the future CIA Director, Richard Holmes. In 1959, Harold Janine took over as the CEO of ITT. Harold's philosophy was implementing acquisitions, turning ITT into the diverse conglomerate better known to most people. He left an executive position with Raytheon in Waltham, Massachusetts. The CIA intrusively became involved in interfering with the government affairs of Cuba and South America. Documents released through the Freedom of Information Act revealed the unsavory alliances that the CIA had made in attempts to interfere in the politics of other countries, most notably in South America, which is where ITT had big business in telecommunication holdings. The CIA desired to determine political election outcomes to avoid Salvador Allende coming into power and controlling ITT's South American interests. Efforts to control elections in Chile spanned more than a decade. Meetings took place between Harold Janine and CIA officials making offers to fund CIA activities in Chile. The CIA did not funnel the funds themselves, but guided ITT in its efforts to determine the politics and economy of a foreign country.
The true goal of the United States government is control. And they feel that if the United States did not control the governments of Latin America, then somebody else would. And the principle of government by the people, for the people, of the people, that is that's just silly.
Propaganda was spread by gaining control of the media, such as the Mercurio newspaper. The political opposition to Salvador Allende was financially supported, and economic sanctions were obtrusively imposed.
I directed that an approach be made to both the State Department and Mr. Kissinger's office to tell them that we had grave concern over the outlook for ITT's investment, and we were desirous of discussing our thoughts in Washington and willing to assist financially in any government plan to help protect private American investment in Chile.
The CIA was not far behind. General René Schneider, the popular army commander who defended Allende's constitutional rights, had to be removed from his post. The CIA money dispatched to oust General Schneider wasn't needed. Other plotters assassinated him. The murder shocked the nation. Moderate politicians rallied to Allende and consolidated his election victory. In the shanty towns of Chile, there were high hopes as the newly elected president set out on reform, without, he hoped, outside interference.
Que los Estados Unidos tienen que respetar el derecho de los pueblos a desarrollar su economía en la forma que necesita o desea.
Allende's first big step, supported by all Chilean political parties, was the nationalization of copper, Chile's biggest industry, still under effective U.S. control.
When Salvador Allende nationalized copper, it wasn't an arbitrary measure. He did it to obtain the resources to alleviate the great poverty in our country. Aliviar la gran pobreza en nuestro país.
In 1965, former CIA Director John McCone joined the ITT board. CIA activities were under the direction of then CIA Director Richard Holmes. His past activities included Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra. Harold Jenney communicated offers through McCone and directly to CIA agents. McCone communicated ITT offers to upper levels of the government, including Henry Kissinger in the 1970s and in meetings with the CIA.
Dr. Henry Kissinger has agreed to come with the White House staff as the assistant to the President-elect for National Security Affairs.
I was sitting in the lobby waiting to get to see the President-elect, and there was this Rockefeller man, as he was described to me, going in to see him. And what happened was that Nixon stole the crown jewel out of his longtime adversary's crown, and that was Henry Kissinger, the most brilliant man on the Rockefeller staff.
Dr. Kissinger is perhaps one of the major scholars in America and the world today in this area. He has never yet had a full-time government assignment, and he will bring to this responsibility a fresh approach.
I did not know Richard Nixon when he appointed me as his security advisor. In fact, I had spent 3 presidential campaigns backing Governor Nelson Rockefeller against Richard Nixon. So when you read about how carefully I plotted my way into Nixon's proximity and want to teach that to your children, support the opponent of the man for whom you want to work.
There were 3 break-ins of Chilean diplomats in New York City, 1972, and the break-in of the Chilean embassy in Washington, D.C. They were, of course, overshadowed by the Watergate incident, but these occurrences are directly mentioned in the Richard Nixon tapes. Investigative reporters began to suspect ties to the Chilean break-ins and Watergate, and altogether were subsequently subjected to CIA surveillance. The ITT Chile connection went all the way up to the White House. Harold Jennings and the clout of ITT had the alert attention of Richard Nixon. Jennings' name appears repeatedly in the Nixon White House tapes. Deals were cut to excuse an antitrust suit against ITT. That reached the Oval Office. Volumes of information about what took place shows the very ugly side of the U.S. government. Corporations and the CIA. ITT board members and former CIA director John McCone and his CIA successor Richard Helms were in close communication. Harold Jennings had Nixon's attention, and he gave $400,000 for Nixon's Republican convention in San Diego. Jennings, McCone, and Helms all had access to Henry Kissinger. Huge dollars were funneled into Chile to determine the political outcome of an election. When that did not work, assassination was approved from out of the Oval Office. The result of CIA and ITT activities in Chile resulted in the assassination of Salvador Allende and intentionally paved the way for giving the rise of Pinochet to power. ITT was an active player in the events that put Pinochet in power. Kidnappings and assassinations continued for some time to those in opposition to Pinochet. Moreover, the U.S. government compensated ITT for their holdings in Chile.
Allende pressed on with what he called his social revolution. School children were given a daily glass of milk. The middle classes were on edge.
The fear was basically what would happen to the people, to the families, to the property.
Chile's economy was increasingly put under state control. This upset foreign financiers and the World Bank in Washington, which cut off credits.
Chile, of course, is interested in obtaining loans
from international organizations where we have a vote, and I indicated that wherever we had a vote, where Chile was involved, that unless there were strong considerations on the other side, that we would vote against them.
In November 1971, Fidel Castro arrived to support Allende's policy of change through the ballot box.
We fully supported his policy. We trained people for his personal security. We were experienced in this because we had had to defend ourselves against those who wanted to destroy us. We told him about this because we thought he had enemies who might try to take his life.
The dangers didn't just come from the right. Castro's Cuban policy of armed revolution found favor with Chile's extreme left, who were hostile to Allende's methods. But most Chileans ignored the call to armed struggle. As inflation mounted, the right attacked economically. CIA money helped pay for Chilean truck owners to bring the country to a standstill. At the UN, Allende accused ITT of trying to provoke a civil war. Santiago, Chile's capital, June 1973. With the government's popularity actually increasing, some frustrated right-wing military officers took to the streets in an attempted coup. As the world's press recorded the failed takeover, Swedish cameraman Leonardo Henriksson, his camera still running, was gunned down and killed. Allende responded by placing greater reliance on the military. General Augusto Pinochet was appointed as his loyal chief of the army. Once again, the truck owners paralyzed the world's longest and thinnest country. Shops closed for lack of goods. Hunger stalked the streets. Middle-class housewives came out to bang their pots and pans in protest. The violent right laid their plots. Just after midday on Tuesday the 11th of September, under orders from General Pinochet, British-made Hunter jets swooped over the Moneda presidential palace, starting fires which were to burn for weeks. Hours later, Allende was dead.
He always said that he wouldn't be taken alive, that he would die defending the Constitution. He kept his word.
General Pinochet immediately stamped his mark on the country.
Pinochet's brutal dictatorship is a matter of history, but his rise was facilitated by corporate greed.